What's up, YouTube? So I'm gonna be recording this video for the second time. So hopefully this one goes better, because the first one, the video was like flipped, and when I tried to like unflip it in the computer, it made it all distorted. Anyway, welcome back to another video. Today's video, I'm going to talk about my 2021 breeding season, so aka next year's breeding season, and the 2022 breeding season, and there's a reason why I'm kind of going towards both years. So without further ado, I figured I would use this guy as something for you guys to look at, because this is my very first hatchling I've ever produced. This is the first guy that ever came out of any eggs that I ever hatched about 7 or 8 years ago or so. I gotta figure out exactly how long it's been, but so he's up there in age. He's gonna live a lot longer, obviously, but yeah, he's definitely not a hatchling anymore. That's for sure. I can't believe I've had him for that long. So anyway, without further ado, as many of you guys probably will be surprised, because this channel is kind of built around breeding reptiles. For 2021, I'm actually not breeding any reptiles at all. I'm not going to produce a single egg this year, unfortunately, because I do love doing it. There's many reasons why, which I'm going to get into. The first reason I'm going to start with saying is, and a lot of these things I'm going to kind of go over briefly, because I'm going to go over more depth when I talk about the 2022 seasons instead of next year. So I'm not breeding any reptiles. I'm focusing a lot on improving the enclosures, I guess, of each reptile. I want to give each reptile a separate enclosure, instead of rack systems. I really like these rack systems. They make everything really easy and really convenient to clean and handle your reptiles. But after having them for about a year and a half now, I kind of just want to go back to regular enclosures, regular tanks. It's a lot more enjoyable experience for me. That's just my personal thoughts after a certain amount of years. But anyway, so I kind of want to make enclosures like this, which I said I will get into later on in the video. Another reason why I want to take this year off is to give some breeders a break. So for example, this guy, let's use this guy for example. He's been breeding pretty much every year since he was big enough and old enough to breed. So since he's about 7 to 8 years, since it's a male, took about a year for him to get up to size and age to be ready to breed. And he's bred a female gecko every single year since. So it's been about 6, 7, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit longer years, that every single year he's breeding. Alright, back to the video. Sorry guys, I had to pause it for a second. So yeah, he's been breeding every single year, so I want to give him a break, as well as the females that's also been breeding consecutive years for a while now. Even my female ball python, she's had 2 different clutches this year and last year, so I just want to give her a break. I guess I should show the gecko, huh? So that's another reason. That's pretty much the biggest reason, I guess you could say. I just want to give everyone a break, get some time to grow and whatnot. Which leads me to my next point is I have this girl in here. If she wants to poke her head out. Of course not, but so she's about 350 grams away from being breeding size, which is 1,500 grams. I personally like to get them about 17 to 1,800 grams before I breed them. So she'd probably be ready this year if I, waited a little bit later in the year and kept feeding her and whatnot. But I'm just going to leave her be for this year. That way when 2022 comes, she's going to be probably like 2,000 grams, if not more. Should be even a little bit older than she already is, and it'll have a more successful breeding season. So I figure if I give everyone a break this year, next year in 2 years in 2022, everything's gonna be ready to go. Everything's gonna be healthy. I'm gonna hopefully have the new enclosures and everything, and kind of redo what I've been doing this whole time. The other, I guess, 50% of the reason why I want to, stop breeding this year is because I want to figure out what else I want to breed since I am no longer breeding leopard geckos. It's most likely going to be a Brazilian rainbow boas, but I'll get that into later. Um, I just really want to figure out more things business side as well. So I kind of have the breeding techniques and the care stuff already down, but the one thing I do lack and I've always lacked is the big business sense of the reptiles. I've always treated it like a hobby and as a thing for fun. But with that being said, when you kind of breed as many reptiles as I do, um, you kind of have to focus on the business side of it if you want to keep doing things and keep growing as a hobbyist and business. So I want to do that. That will include increasing my presence online via YouTube and Instagram. That is figuring out how to ship reptiles, because I currently do not ship reptiles. I only sell to local people, and shipping is a big part of it. And one big part of the reason why I haven't sold as many geckos and haven't produced as many geckos as I could or should have been. Um, so that's pretty much the gist of it. I'm not gonna make a long video explaining every single detail. That's pretty much just the basics of it and why I decided to not produce a single egg this year in 2021 season for no other reason other than the things I listed before. I am obviously gonna breed the year after, which I'll get into now, which is the 2022 breeding season. For that, I will hopefully by then have at least have the reptiles, the Brazilian rainbow boas that I'm looking to get and to get into. They won't be ready to breed by then, so I want to get them as babies, but they will at least, have them in my collection. Like I said, I'm thinking about Brazilian rainbow boas because I've actually had one before. Had it for about 5 months, and unfortunately had to rehome them when I moved into with roommates and stuff and whatnot. I had to pick certain reptiles because I had too many, and unfortunately he was one to go. So I've had experience with them. It was actually one of my favorite pets I've ever owned. So I definitely look forward to getting into them again in 2022. Don't fall in that little crack, silly. Another thing which I kind of got into a little bit already is, let me put this guy into the cages. So I want to build similar style cages to I think I did with the Savannah Monitor, except I want to, obviously it doesn't have to be this big for one reptile. So I'm going to make something similar to this size and chop it up. Not chop it up, but block off sections. So maybe like just for example, this is his heating spot here. About the cage. So this is like his little basking spot. Obviously he has the whole cage, he can go down and whatnot. But actually, I'm put the leopard gecko away just because he's kind of looking like it's a snack for him, which it is not. Alright, so what I pretty much would do is build something similar to this, but instead of being all big for one reptile, I would grab some wood and block off like here. That way, it just leaves this little section here for him. And maybe I would put a leopard gecko in there since it's a little bit smaller. Not small, but a little bit smaller. Then maybe I would do kind of like the same thing here, but this would be for like this whole area would be for a ball python. And I can kind of choose what sizes I want to block off each thing and house all my reptiles, at least that I currently have in racks, into actual, enclosures. It won't be glass tanks like most people, but it'd be wooden and chicken wire like this. And I could, give them a good size while still decorating and make the cages look approachable instead of just having them in a box. So that's the main goal, is to build new enclosures, sell these racks off, kind of like I did the other baby rack, and have all homemade, nice looking enclosures while still providing what they need. Alright, now with that said, along with making the homemade cages, I also want to make a big homemade incubator from like an old fridge or something, like an old freezer. I have, I think it's the Zoo-made styrofoam bullshit incubator that they sell now, as my last one broke, but in my opinion, the incubator is actually terrible. I'll probably do a review on it sometime soon because it's that bad. But, yeah, so I want to make a homemade one that's reliable, that can hold a lot of eggs, and isn't, I guess, just plainly isn't made out of freaking styrofoam. But, anywho, that's neither here or there. And I guess the last thing I will say for my 2022 plans is obviously I'm going to continue to breed the ball pythons. As far as my knowledge now, I'm only going to be breeding ball pythons in 2022. I'm not going to be breeding leopard geckos, like I said before, maybe one or two, but not that many. And then I'll be focusing on, along with breeding, is keeping the Brazilian rainbow boas, making sure they're happy, healthy. I can keep them, safely and whatnot. And then hopefully in 2023, 2024, I'll be able to breed those. So 2021 and 2022 is pretty much just going to be a year of getting my shit together, trying to increase the business aspect of it, letting animals grow and rest, and not have to worry about producing eggs. Which is obviously more so important for the females, but it's obviously good for the males to get a break as well. Last thing I want to say is hopefully I'll be moving, because as you can see my reptile room now, my back right now is against the Savannah monitor cage, and I move one step. So what, 2 steps, if that, 1.5 steps, and I'm at the racks already. When I pull a rack out, it pretty much comes up to like here. I got tanks up here, like it's just a big mess with the Savannah monitor cage place, and I'll also be able to, which will aid in the fact that I'd be able to produce more babies, have more species, bigger cages, and whatnot. So that's pretty much my goal, guys, for the next 2 years, I guess you could say. 2020 is finally over, so hope we all have a better 2021 than we did 2020. I look forward to making a lot more videos in 2021. If you have any suggestions or anything you're curious about, um, leave it down in the comments below. I'll try to get back to you or make a video in response to whatever you guys say. And I'll see you guys in 2021. Thanks for watching. You gonna leave like that? You're just gonna stroll away, leave 2020 behind, huh?